Hi everyone. I thought I would show you just a real quick little technique on how I usually sandwich quilts that I am going to quilt myself. The first thing I did was I measured the quilt to find out how big I needed to make the back and how big the batting needed to be. I forget what it was exactly, but I added 3 inches on each side. I tried to add at least 2 to 3 inches top and bottom. And then I cut a piece of plain white cotton, which is right down here. And I cut that cotton backing to be plenty big enough to go on the back. You can see I even had to piece some pieces together to make it big enough, but I have a backing. And then I dug in my scraps of batting and I found some batting, which will work. It's big enough. So I'm ready to go. And what I usually do is I find a surface that's big enough to handle whatever size the quilt is. Now, if this were a twin size quilt, I would probably go downstairs to the ping pong table so I had a big flat surface. Some people can use their floor if the floor is flat vinyl or something that's good and flat. It doesn't work that well when you try to use carpeted floors. So anyway, the first thing that I do is after I've cut my batting and have it all ready, I lay it out on my flat surface. This time you'll see I had to take the foot off of my sewing machine because it needs to go under there. And if it were too much bigger, this would not work here. I would have to find a bigger table. But I lay the backing face down so the back side is up, and then I use some big blue tape. If I can't find the big tape, then I use a regular 1 inch or whatever. And I tape it at the top. And sometimes I put a couple of pieces on. Now here I'm right at the edge, so now I'm going to go to the bottom. And I'm going to tape the bottom. We want the backing to be straight and taut, but we don't want it to be just, don't want to have any wrinkles in it. Now I'm going to take my batting batting is plenty big. In fact, okay. I'm going to cover this because I have so very much. It should pretty much go top all the way up to the sides. And I just hand smooth that out. The third part is the quilt top. I've already pressed this quilt top, so it shouldn't have too many wrinkles in it. Down. I usually come down maybe an inch from the very top of my batting. And see, I have plenty at the bottom, plenty at the top. I'm smoothing the top out nice, making sure that it's got batting and backing all the way around. All right, so we smoothed out. And now this, on this particular quilt top, there is some extra, I put an extra piece of batting behind each one of the flowers because I wanted them to stick up a little bit. So they're a little puffy as I lay it down. Now it's time to do the basting. You're going to use a temporary basting spray, and because you're using basting spray, it's a good idea to either do this outside or in a well-ventilated area, somewhere where you can put a mask on is even more helpful, but I always have my window open so that I can do this with my mask and look like a chemist. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm going to now pull the top and the batting. I should have taken my needle out. Take your needle out of your machine also. Pull them back and give them a little shots of basting spray. Then smooth back out. Mainly we're smoothing the batting out. It doesn't take a lot, just a little. Okay. Then smooth the top out. I'm going to go to the bottom of the quilt, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to lift and fold up. And if this were a really big quilt, you would have to do this in 2 or 3 folds. But this one's not very big. Now then, I can probably take my mask off, and because the chemicals are inside, because my glasses are. Okay, the last thing that the last thing that I do is I put a pin around the edges. And I would probably pin several pins along the outside edges. And then take this to the ironing board and press it good. I would probably cut this off. Usually, in fact, I could cut that off right now. So I'm going to take this to the ironing board and press it well with my iron. And then take it to the sewing machine and do just a basting stitch all the way around the outside. I usually go about 1/4 inch inside around the outside edge, and then we're ready to quilt. Usually, because when I'm quilting, I don't want too much on the outside, I might trim this to 1 inch on the outside all the way around also. So there you go. I hope that helps you out. If you're ever in the need of a quilt sandwich, now you know how to do it. Thanks. Bye.